Another issue is America and the crime crisis, the homelessness crisis.
Oh,
American cities are in decline. People are moving out as homelessness,
it's a little bit more.
drugs,
It's going to get us more agitated to respond.
There are problems accelerated. They did accelerate during the pandemic and are still rising, actually.
Murders in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, all up 30% between 2019 and 2022. Homelessness is up 11%, the largest jump in recorded history. Vice President Pence, a lot of this began in the COVID era. How much of what we're seeing happening around this country is a result of those COVID lockdowns? And is your administration in part to blame for how we got here?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats been talking about defunding the police for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities.
That's not true.
At unprecedented levels. I mean, it's extraordinary to think about the violence that's claiming innocent lives every week in every major city in this country. And yet Democrats and liberal prosecutors.
The question is, you guys had lockdowns, Donald Trump administration, and he completely said, I'm not answering that shit. Let's talk about defund the police. He completely pivoted.
And go easy. What we need is strong commitment to law enforcement. We need leadership in Washington, D.C. that'll marshal the resources of the states, marshal the resources of the American people. But let me also say it's about opportunity. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Trump-Pence tax cuts that we got signed into law go away at the end of 2025 if we don't have a Republican president. And a Republican.
So these capitalists are bragging about the police state that they're building. But people think China and Russia is an authoritarian state. They're bragging about the police state, fam.
We're going to close the federal department, block grant all that funding back to the states.
That guy has
with a
zero
growing
chance.
economy and educational
chance of
and
going
and law
anywhere.
enforcement. We will bring our cities back.
Governor Christie, another
has
issue.
no
This
ability
weekend,
to inspire
here in
at
Milwaukee,
all.
Reports say there were 30 shootings, and a number of them including kids. Add that to the big increase in school shootings around the country. Democrats blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation.
Yeah, both of you are blaming bullshit. The issue is capitalism.
You know, I'm proud of the fact, Brett, that I'm the only person along with Governor Hutchinson up on this stage who's actually running United States Attorney's Office. I ran the 5th largest office in America in a state where there is significant urban crime. And the problem is not going to be solved by more money. The problem is that these prosecutors in these localities in the states are refusing to do their job and to arrest violent criminals. So what a President Christie would do is appoint an attorney general.
So they're saying that our police state
of the 93 U.S. attorneys
is soft.
There to take over.
That's what he's saying. Our police state is soft. Our prosecution is soft. We got these freaking soft-ass prosecutors
to lock up these violent criminals and clean up what's going on all across.
Our prison beds are full, and we lock up 1/4 of the world's prison population. But Chris Christie is spreading the myth that we don't arrest
criminals
people.
understand
Absurd.
is that the laws apply to everybody. And when Hunter Biden fills out a fake application, a false application for a gun permit, and then is facing a 10-year mandatory minimum, which was mandated by legislation sponsored by his father. And then you have a Justice Department that walks away from those charges. We're telling people that the law doesn't apply to everybody. In a Christie administration, he would go to jail for 10 years.
What about a President Ramaswamy? What does a President Ramaswamy do about guns?
So the reality is we have a crime wave in this country and we know how to fix it. The question is, do we actually have the spine to do it? More cops in the streets who are on the streets able to do their jobs without looking over their shoulder for getting sued. And we also have a
that
mental
means
health
they want to be
epidemic
able to
in this
be
country.
reckless and not
Just
have
over the
any
same period that we have
responsibility.
closed
laying
mental
their
health
lap.
institutions, we have seen a spike in violent crime. Do we have the spine to bring them back? I think we should. As president, I will. But it's not just drugging up people in those psychiatric institutions with Zoloft and Seroquel. It's a deeper issue. I think faith-based approaches can play a role here too. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. And I say this as a member of my
So he's talking about a crime wave that we have. But NYPD, LAPD, and other police departments are making record amount. They got a record budget. So how do increasing the budgets solve the problem when they got record budgets?
Mayor Lightfoot gave,
former
Mayor Lightfoot gave so much money
the
to the
top,
CPD.
saying that this is what it means to be an American. Yes, we will stand for the rule of law. Yes, we will close the southern border where criminals are coming in every day. And yes, we will back law enforcement because we remember who we really are. And that's also how we address that mental health epidemic in the next generation that is directly leading to violent crime across this country.
Governor DeSantis, really quickly. Governor DeSantis.
We don't have an identity crisis, Vivek. We're not looking for a new national identity. The American people are the most faith-filled, freedom-loving, idealistic, hardworking people the world has ever known.
Man, Mike, you haven't been outside your mama's house for some time,
you
buddy.
might have some others like you may have on the stage. It's Morning in America speech. It is not Morning in America. We live in a dark moment, and we have to confront the fact that we're in an internal sort of cold cultural civil war. And we have to recognize that
people with the failed government in Washington, D.C. We just need government as good as our people again.
So let me just finish addressing that slogan because I don't know what that slogan means. We need to shut down the administrative state. That's actually how we translate.
Crime has been on the rise in Florida, Governor DeSantis. How do you stop crime?
Well, actually, crime's at a 50-year low in Florida. We're happy with that. Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing. These hollowed out cities, this is a symptom of America's decline. And one of the biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district attorneys. They get into office and they say they're not going to prosecute crimes they disagree with. The inmates are running the asylum. There's one
These
guy
people are
in this
trying to
entire
act like
country
our
that's ever
system
done
of
anything about that.
criminalization isn't
when we had
insane
two of
and
these district
unhinged.
attorneys in Florida
They're
elected
talking about
with
they
Soros
need to be
funding
more
who said they
unhinged.
wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone. And as president, we are going to go after all of these people because they are hurting the quality of life and they are victimizing innocent people in every corner of this country. And it will stop when I get into office.
Okay, one more here before the break, Governor Bergen.
Brett and Martha, I just thought it was interesting. You asked your question about the problems we're having in big cities. Nobody ever asked the question of what
Somebody said he reminds
them
of Angus.
Because in a small town, neighbors help neighbors. People understand each other. If a farmer gets sick, everybody comes together and helps them get the crop off. There's accountability. There's transparency. One thing that I think this country could use is somebody in the White House that understands small town values, because that's our road back to get this country on track again.
As former head of the DEA, I understand the drug crisis in America. And right now, whenever you look at the challenges in our inner city, there's three simple words that would be helpful. One, enforce the law when it comes to crime.
Maybe the CIA.
Secondly, let's deal with the challenge of fentanyl. And it's both about stopping the fentanyl coming from Mexico, but it's also about education of our young people, making sure that we have the tools that are needed for addiction counseling. That's what we expanded in Arkansas as well. Whenever you look at the underlying challenge of America, though, no one likes to see an America with smash and grab in our inner cities. As president of the United States, that will stop. It starts at the top with the respect for our justice system that a former president who's under indictment has undermined.
He's the first one to bring it up.
By attacking prosecutors, by attacking the system and saying he's aggrieved. And so we have to have respect for our justice system and the rule of law, and it starts at the top with the president of the United States.